All right, so Glenn Brown again. We just finished up part one of the wheel, so I'm going to start on part two of the wheel for the miniature train. Um, like I had said before, that we're using Autodesk Inventor, but these techniques are and the way that the drawings are read is transferable to many different types of software. So let's get started. So last time we drew the wheel, just the main part of the wheel. This time we're going to add in the slots and we're going to add in this hub for the linkage peg or the linkage arm to connect to using the linkage peg. So let's get started. Um, so as always, we need to start with a 2D sketch. We're going to choose this flat area. You could also draw it on the back, I guess, but we're going to choose this flat area on which to draw our slots. Okay, so we'll do 2D sketch. We'll select that flat area and it'll bring it in. Now we're looking at the front view. We know that because of the cube. And so first of all, let's look at the sketch. So they show us this on the back of the wheel. So you could draw it on the back of the wheel just as easily. So here we are. We've got, so what we're going to do, the plan will be to draw one line out here on the axis, draw a second line here, and make that at 15 degrees, and draw a third line here, make that dimension that at 30 degrees, and then the last line here and dimension that at 30 degrees. So we don't necessarily need that last one, but I'll just draw it in anyway. So you also have to be sometimes mindful that that extra dimension, if you're doing some sort of test or something, that extra dimension may be there to trick you into thinking that you have to make all of these. And you've got also typical that may make you think, wow, I've got to draw all of these in there. However, we're not, because we're going to use circular pattern. So we'll look at that today too. You'll also show you slice graphics. And like I said, and we'll use dimension this time instead of measuring just straight lines or using it to draw circles. We'll do it to measure angles and to dimension angles this time as well. So if you've watched any of these other videos, you know that sometimes I just draw some random lines in here to then go back and dimension. So same thing here, snapping to 0, 0, drawing random lines out that are just a random length. Just all you need is for them to be outside of the wheel. And this one here. And so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 that we're going to do. So we'll do the fourth one. I'm not sure we need it, but let's go ahead anyway. All right. So now you might notice that what's going on here, the lines are there, but they're disappearing as they go through the wheel, through that contour. So if we come down here at the bottom and click slice graphics, you'll notice that now you can see all of the line. And if you go over here to your orbital and rotate it, you'll see that it sliced that wheel in half. All right, so now we're drawing on a flat surface that's along the plane, along the front view plane. Okay, so let's just go back here, get reoriented, get out of that, press escape to get out of the orbital. All right, you can also click just outside in space somewhere. Okay, so next, so we've got our lines. Now let's dimension our lines. So if we look at the drawing, we see that the first dimension from here to there is 15. So let's go 15 dimension. from here to there, 15, enter. Next one, and I believe the other one, this one is 30, and this one is 30 as well. So we'll go in. We're still in dimension. Click that line and that line. Make that 30. And enter. Hold on. Why are you moving? Dimension here to there. Let's see what happens here. Interesting. I wonder why it's doing that. Let's go back. So 15, so that was fine, but then that's moving that one. And that one. 30. Well, I've got a plan. Let's see if it works. Dimension from here to here. That one is also 30. Okay, so now let's try this here. It's kind of nice when things mess up like this, because if it was all just perfect, you might never see. So let's see what happens. I'm just going to make that 90. Okay, so we tricked it. So for whatever reason, and I'm not sure why, I'm not going to dig into it while we're here on this training tutorial, but for whatever reason, it seems like it wanted to lock in this line wherever it was and then move our first line. I don't understand exactly why, but what I did was just come over here, draw a line down along the vertical axis, and then made a dimension of 90 degrees that pushed everything back. So that'll work for now. And when I go back and figure out what happened, I'll let you know. So now we've got those, okay? So now we've got our lines at the right angle. So now, looking at the drawing, if we look at the slots, we can see here that the bottom of the slots have a curvature to them. And that curvature is there because if we connected all those curves together, we would make a circle. Okay, we'd make a small circle. If we look at the top of them, it's the same way. They've got a curve to them. And if we were to connect all those curves together, we would have a large circle. Okay, so anybody see what's coming? That's right. We're going to draw some circles. So go up and get a circle. Start at 0, 0, come out. And our diameter for the first one, we'll read from here. It says the radius is 0.375. Okay, so they gave us a radius. Remember that Inventor draws in diameters. So we need to take that 0.375 and we'll have to multiply it by 2 to get the diameter. So we can do it in our heads, or we can just say 0.375. Use the asterisk above the 8 or above the 9 if you're on a keypad, and multiply it by 2. Then we'll do the same thing here. Our radius for there is 0.625. So we'll go start at the center, come out 0.625. They again gave us a radius. I know. It'd be better if they just gave us a diameter, but that's not what they did. So we multiply it by 2. There. So now we can start to see the pattern of our slot forming right here. So now all we have to do is go back in, use the trim command to clean it up. So we'll trim away there. We'll trim away that part. We'll trim away the parts of this circle that we don't need. We'll trim away the parts. Oop, I wanted to do it differently. Let me go back. Use that back arrow. So we'll trim away here. And we'll trim away there. And we'll trim away there. And we'll trim that. And the reason I changed is because of this. If I look at the drawing, that one is located here. If I were to do it there, in between those two, I would end up with a slot right here. So when you try to draw in that hub for the linkage arm, it'll get messed up because you'll be drawing over top of a hole, which is not preferred. So now we've got the shape of our slot. All this, like with our other parts, these are just lines that are extra, and the software will get rid of those when we do our extrude or finish our, well, when we do our extrude. So now we have our shape. We want to go click Finish Sketch. So now we're going to extrude, and since we created a closed loop, we can highlight it. We can choose that. And the default setting for the extrude is to create a solid. We're just going to come over here, click the cut icon right there, and then it'll cut a hole through. If for some reason, so it's cutting a hole through at 1 inch. If for some reason our last dimension had been 0.125, for instance, and it didn't cut all the way through, we would just have to change that to, I'm sorry, if it had been smaller than 0.125, it wouldn't have cut all the way through. We would just have to change that dimension to something larger, or let's do that. So identify that. So let's say this was 0.025. See how it's not cutting all the way through? So we can either key in another distance, or you can drop down and say through all, and it'll cut through all of it. Interesting. So it's not cutting through, it's adding. What happens if we do that? So we'll switch the direction, and then it'll cut all the way through. Click OK. There's your slot. So next, we just need 5 more of these. Well, don't go drawing random lines and dimensioning and all that. There's a much easier way. Go up here to Pattern and Circular Pattern. Okay. In Circular Pattern, it's asking you to identify the features that you want to pattern. So this is slot is the pattern, is the feature that we want to pattern. And we're going to need a rotation axis. So we click here, or click on rotation axis if you're in a newer version. And you can really click anywhere. You can click anything that is circular that's going to give the pattern some circular shape to follow. Any of these will do. I usually just click the hole in the center, and it draws in the rest of your slots. You can also go over here. You can change that to 4, and it'll make 4. You can change it to 8. It'll make 8, whatever you want. So on this one, we're using 6. So now we have that. It looks like what we want. We click OK, and now we've cut our slots in. All right. So that's it for this one. I'm going to, as you can tell, I just ran out of time. So I'm going to do the hub for the linkage arm on a different, on a part 3. So be looking for that. And if this was helpful, as always, please like, share, set the alarm for new videos that come out, and have a great day.